think we'd probably have to designate that for boat slip owners from like mid-afternoon to the evening.
Is that they would have to,
Yeah, once you
they
bring
would have
that,
to move in the morning, so it would be timed?
Oh, that's a good thought.
well, actually, the restaurant doesn't open up until like 11 or so, so if anyone's going out early in the morning on their boat, they can take those parking spaces where the restaurateurs generally park.
What about the trailers though?
The trailers still have to park there because it's so wide, you would need the trailer parking lot for the trailers.
Right.
Yeah. So why don't you bring that up at the Harbor Commission, see
Yeah.
what they think about that.
Yeah, we're meeting next week. I'll
Yep.
talk to them.
I think that will work out. Okay, Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also attended the menorah lighting last night. It was lovely, and I want to especially thank Chris Randall and his wife Raina for making all the arrangements. DPW did a great job setting up the menorah, having it ready to go. Randall supplied all the latkes and the chicken wings and the matzo ball soup. It was just great. It was really, really, really well attended, and just a lovely, lovely evening. This past Saturday, as I mentioned before, I went to a program at the Belmar Public Library. As I said, it was very well attended. Obviously, they know how to get the word out. It was actually really well attended by a lot of people from other towns. I spoke to people from Heights, from Spring Lake, from Wall, and from Lake Como. There were some Belmar people there too. That's the good stuff. The actual presentation of the program left me so disturbed and so concerned that I felt it's really important that I come and share it here in public with all of you all. The presentation was about climate change, and the presenters were Professor Catherine Brady. They're all from Monmouth University, from the Science Department of Monmouth U. Catherine Brady she's a marine biologist, and she has an expertise in environmental policy. There was also a geologist, Michael Tarullo. He spoke about how you can use geology to measure what climate was like in the past. We saw a lot of graphs of Pleistocene and with all the other epoch eras and stuff, when it was hot, when it was cold. And the assistant dean of the School of Science, Dr. Duckett, Catherine Duckett was there. She was amazingly well informed and obviously personally invested in the issue of climate change, because she shared with us that her parents had a house in Paradise, California, burned to the ground. Burned to the ground. The long and short of it is, I'll give you the highlights. By the end of this century, the ocean level is definitely going to rise at least a foot. That's the most conservative estimate. More common are estimates of 3 to 6 feet. 3 to 6 feet. We obviously are going to need to think about that. The big issue seems to be, well, it doesn't seem to be, it is, when they were showing us these graphs about when the temperature went up in the past and when it went down, you could really see it's not just the climate's getting warmer, it's that it's getting warmer so much faster than it ever did before. The rate of change is what's the big problem. If it was getting warmer more gradually, we'd have more time to prepare, the environment would not change as quickly. What's happening, because it's getting so much warmer, is everything's connected. Everything's connected. You've all seen it too, you've all seen it. Certain plants are starting to try to bloom sooner because it's warmer in the spring, yes? The problem is that the pollinating insects like bees and butterflies haven't made that transition the same way the plants have, so the plants aren't able to reproduce because they're not being pollinated. So we're definitely seeing a drop off, and it's not just flowers in your yard, it's crops in the field. Increasing areas of drought, increasing areas of heat like the fires out in California, that's directly related. But I'm more concerned about what happens to us here. We are mostly affected by the rise in sea level. It was really, I'm telling you, I'm getting all upset all over again, because it was really like, it's happening and nothing's gonna change. You know, the topic of, you know, non-consensus in the scientific community came up. And what really boils down to, when someone says that scientists aren't in consensus, what they're not in consensus about is how much is the ocean gonna go up. They all agree that it's gonna go up. It's just whether it's a foot or 3 or 6. One other thing we learned about, I thought it was fascinating. The science was fascinating. The presentation was very well done. There's a difference between, part of the problem is the glaciers are melting. Glacial ice is melting. Now, if you're talking about glaciers on water, like at the Arctic Circle, that's not going to increase the water volume because the water's already there. It's just frozen. But when it melts, it's not really going to change the amount of water in the ocean, so that's not going to cause any ocean rise. What is going to cause ocean rise is glaciers on land, like in Greenland and particularly in Antarctica, because that ice is not in the ocean. And when it falls in and melts, that's definitely going to make the water go up. And what makes it even worse is, in particular in Antarctica, the weight of the ice is actually pushing the land mass down. It holds it down against the mantle of the earth. As that ice comes off and that weight is released, the land starts to move up. And I mean, we're not talking about feet, we're talking about a couple of inches, and that's all it takes for it to move up. Now what's happened is the water that's already going up is being forced into a smaller space because the land is rising up underneath it. That definitely makes the ocean go up. There's no question about it. What can we do about it? You'll be happy to hear this, Mr. Mayor. Their recommendation was plant as many trees as you can, believe it or not. Because the big issue is the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which goes with the greenhouse gases that help hold the heat in against the planet, and that's what's making everything get warmer. We need I wish I could remember the word, carbon neutralizers or they take carbon out of the atmosphere. That's what trees do. Native plants, they were very big on native plants. We got a lot of kudos for Belmar when I told them that we are planting native plants on the beach and we have a shade tree commission that makes sure the right trees are planted in the right place. You know, that we have an ordinance about plastic bags, because that's definitely an issue. I asked them, is there any research about plastics in the ocean contributing to the warming of the oceans? And unfortunately there's not really. But I think that's a place that they're going to start to see. The fact that there's plastic material in the water definitely makes it easier for the water to get warmer, because plastic holds warmth more than water does. And the other thing they said, really, besides planting as many trees as you can, try to reduce your carbon footprint, go solar, much as you can, is really talk about it, discuss it. Even if people don't necessarily agree to the degree that we need to worry about this, we need to be aware, particularly as a coastal community. We need to be aware that it is going to affect, if not us personally, our children and our grandchildren. They are going to be dealing with the effects of this ocean level rise and the other climate changes that are going to go with it. And we need to do what we can to help them get through it. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of how much we let it happen. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Nicolay?
The Belmar Arts Council has an exhibit right now. It's affordable art exhibit. It goes through December 28th. So if you're in need of art or Christmas presents, it's affordable. So head over to the Arts Council. The Borough and the Police Department and Public Works are working together on the Santa delivery that they do each year, which is tremendous. I think it's one of the best things that our town offers. It's going to be on December 18th and 19th, starting at 3 p.m. Parents may drop off their wrapped and clearly labeled toy for Santa to deliver the child's name and the delivery address, Belmar only, to the Belmar Public Works building between 8 and 2:30 p.m. Needs to be done by December the 14th. So if you have any young children, young grandchildren in Belmar, drop off your wrapped and clearly labeled present for the child. And that is it.
Don't forget the school concert next Thursday night.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
No, you say. I have already
And
brought
next
everybody.
Thursday night is the chorus and Belmar Elementary Band holiday concert, starting at 7 p.m. It's always a great event, so go to the Belmar Elementary School, 7 p.m. next Thursday.
And what great trumpet player's gonna play.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you. It was a quick 2 weeks. I really don't have much to report. Just that for the third year in a row, the Belmar Shade Tree Commission has qualified to become, for the third year in a row, a Tree City USA. So that's a lot of hard work from the Shade Tree Commission, and we're submitting all our year's work to the New Jersey Board, and we're in line for it, so that's excellent. Really happy for that. This Friday night, did you mention, no, Christmas tree lighting?
Mhm.
Christmas tree lighting ceremonies start at Piano Plaza. Starts at 5:30, and the lights will go on at 6 p.m. And we have a visit from Santa Claus, right?